Hello, colorful creators! I hope you're as excited as I am today to get our hands a little dirty as we use chalk pastels to create some creepy, crawly bugs. First, take a moment to gather up all your supplies from the provided supply list and to prepare your space to get a little bit messy. I recommend putting a plastic tablecloth on the floor if you're on carpet and to draw on top of a hard surface such as a table or a countertop that's easy to wipe off. Then, pick a creepy crawler reference photo from the provided photos, or you can find your own and print it out. Once you've gotten everything needed to begin, we will jump right in using our pencils to create our initial sketch. Next, we will grab our pastels and get to work adding color, layering and blending along the way. And at the end, you will have a colorful, creepy, crawly creation. Let's get to it.
Hello, colorful creators. It's time to get started. First, you want to get your pencil here, your ruler, your chalk pastels. I have a couple different kinds here that I'm going to be using. So use whatever chalk pastels that you have. And then I have some white paper. And that's just helpful to put underneath my hand so it doesn't smear anything. And my black paper, which we're going to be drawing on. And then my bug, which is my reference photo. So this is going to be the bug that I'm going to be drawing on my paper. So we included some different bugs, pictures of bugs that you could pick from, or you can find one on the internet or in a book or something. So find the bug that you want to draw and let's get started. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the middle of my paper. So this helps me to know where to draw my bug exactly, because I don't want something off-centered or something that doesn't fit on the paper. So this helps me to know where to put the sketch. So I'm just using my pencil and just putting a little X right there in the middle of the paper. Okay, now we're going to start with the sketch. So using my pencil, I'm going to sketch really lightly on the black paper. And you want to think of the bug kind of in three little sections here. The first thing is going to be that main body, the top body, and then the head and the legs coming out. So the first one that I'm going to be starting with is the main big body of the bug. So I'm going to kind of put that in the middle because we want to make sure that we allow enough room for the legs down at the bottom. So whenever we're sketching out a project, we kind of want to think and plan of the arrangement of the project. Whenever we plan ahead, it helps our project to go a little bit better. So take your time and do a sketch here and make sure that you have everything looking the way you want it to before you go in with the chalk pastels. It's so much easier to erase pencil than it is to erase something a little bit more permanent like chalk pastel. So then once I got that round part there, I'm going to move on to the second top right there. And then the head goes on, and that's the third little section right up there. And you kind of want to think about bugs are kind of just like shapes. So we had kind of like an ovally circle and then another oval circle on top, and then another like half circle going on as well. And then I'm drawing the little antennas right there on the top, and those are kind of just like little half circles and then little kind of rounded rectangles that come out from that. So that is the little antennas right there going out from the top of the head. And then they have just little lines going down, and then those are just little sections as well. So your bug may look different than mine. If you want to draw the bug that I am doing, you can totally do that as well, and you can follow along exactly. But your bug may be different, but bugs, a lot of the times have a lot of similar shapes. So again, look at the sections and look at the shapes. So is it a rectangle? Is it a circle? And instead of looking at the whole bug, look at the individual shapes that makes up the bug. So now I'm just putting for the legs, it kind of just has these little circles that come out from the legs, and then just sketching out those little legs that go up. And just whenever you're sketching, you want to sketch pretty lightly. You don't want to push really hard because This is a time that you can change things and make mistakes easily. So we want it to be really light, so that way in case we need to erase, it's really easy to erase it and we're not making really hard indentions in our paper if we're pushing really hard on the paper. And also, if you notice, I'm doing little motions within my sketching. So I'm not doing really long, drawn out motions. It's just little tiny marks that make up every component of the bug. And I'm just adjusting things as I need them, and then moving on to the next little section there, where the other legs are. So these are kind of just like little half circles where the legs connect to the main body of the bug. And I'm constantly looking at my photo that I'm working from. So if you're have a reference photo like me, you want to make sure that you're looking at it. Don't get too caught up just staring at your picture of where you're drawing. You want to make sure that you're looking at your photo so that way you know how to draw it, where to draw it, how everything looks, and you can transfer that onto the page. So have your photo in hand and be looking at it carefully. Take your time to study it. If you even just need to take a moment to pause from drawing, so that way you can look at the bug and look at your photo and see that everything is correct. Totally take the time to do that. And your bug may be more complicated than mine, or it may be more simpler than mine. So you may need to pause the video, or you may even finish faster with your sketch than I did. So just take the time that you need and make it look however you want to. So I'm working on the back legs right now, and for my picture, I just wanted to make sure that the whole bug fit in there. So all the legs fit in, and I just made the adjustments needed. I noticed that I could have extended down the bottom part just a little bit more, so I'm just making that adjustment now. It was a little bit longer than I had originally sketched. So don't feel like you have to get your sketch perfect on the first time. Take your time. Now I'm just erasing that little X mark that I put right there in the center, and I'm ready to go. So now that I have my sketch, I put my pencil down, and I'm going to be picking up my chalk pastels. Now with chalk pastels, you want to remember a lot of the skill things that we worked on within our skill drill, and it's a lot of layering. So I'm just picking up one of the lighter colors, and I'm going to be layering from kind of light to dark within this and layering the colors in. So I just picked up that really light blue and going around the outside edge of my bug right now. So pick up whichever color is your lightest color within your bug and kind of just start working your way around and drawing it out. And then going up to that top section there. And I'm kind of just filling in anywhere that I see that color kind of blended in. So this bug I thought was pretty fun because it did have a lot of colors, and it shows up really nicely on the black paper, which I thought was really cool. And I'm just going over all of those pencil sketches, and you'll notice that chalk pastel is pretty messy. You probably already found that out from your skill drill video, and so just be careful you don't set your hand in it. If you need to, feel free to use that white piece of paper that you have to set underneath your hand so you're not smudging anything and moving it all your color around. So I'm just starting to move and look at my picture and see where is that blue color at fully, and just kind of start laying in some more color within the bug. And one thing to notice is you want to follow the movement, fill in color with following the movement of the bug. So if you notice the shell of the bug is really rounded and smooth, and it has kind of these movements that go from top to bottom. So I'm going to be making strokes and coloring in with that same motion that the bug shell is moving in. This helps it to look a lot more realistic. It helps it to blend all the colors in really nicely as well. If you go and color in all different directions, up, down, left, right, diagonal, then it can sometimes look a little bit messy. So you're just going to want to move within the same direction. And I picked up a little bit darker of a color. So as you are creating, once you're finished with your lighter color, find the next shade or the next color that you want to work with, and just start filling in that color as well. So noticing where that color is and coloring and putting that on your picture. And I am focusing just mainly on the main body of the bug right now. I'm not doing the legs quite yet. So just kind of focus in one area and get that done. Also, if I did the legs, my hand might get in it a little bit more because it's kind of on the outside edge where my hand is resting. So I'm able to keep my page a little bit cleaner by focusing on the middle rather than the outside. And I picked up that green now and working on the green and putting that in there. And again, I'm kind of just working with those lighter colors, and then I'm going to start layering in those darker colors as we go. And so then I'm blending in that yellow and just transitioning those colors. And once we kind of color in a few of those things, we'll go back through and blend them together. So I like to put a lot of the colors in first, and then we blend back with like our finger, or we can use a napkin or maybe even a Q-tip as well. And then if you notice in my picture, I kind of have like this really bright golden orange yellow color that I'm going to be putting in right now. So I'm going to be layering that in. And it kind of just all transitions together and flows from this blue to this green to this yellow and then the orange. And then right in the middle, there's actually quite a bit of black, which is pretty cool. And I'll add that in last, because if I put the black in now, then it might mix in within a lot of my other colors and kind of mute them out. So I don't want to do that. So I'm going to wait on those really dark colors. Again, that's the reason why we wait on the darker colors and we layer those in over top. So I'm using that darker red there too. So look at your picture, notice the colors that are in your bug and add those in. You can always, if you wanted to, maybe your bug doesn't have a whole lot of colors and you wanted to change that, you can always get creative and add a few more colors within it as well. So now I'm going to go through and kind of start blending some of this in, and I've kind of been like blowing on it as well, just to kind of get off some of that excess, the extra powder that's built up. As you kind of draw, you kind of have this loose powder that comes up, so you can kind of blow in your picture or kind of tap it off if you have too much. You might want to make sure though that you have a paper underneath or maybe a trash bag underneath, so that way you're not getting it all over your house and everything and making a mess. So be careful with that, but I'm just kind of blending it through with my finger. And then now I'm just going to kind of tap off some of that extra powder there that's come off, and you can see how like smooth and blended that already is and just how bright those colors are. This is just chalk pastels are really fun because you can really get in there with your fingers and just kind of play with the color and move it all around, and just it's really tactile and you can touch it a lot, which is really fun to do. So now, as I had blended in some of that color that I laid down first, I'm gonna do another layer, and this is a dark like navy blue that I picked up. And I'm just gonna be layering that in over top. And if you notice too, there's even some of the texture of the paper that you can notice come through on with this color as I'm layering it in. So whenever you don't blend it in, you can notice some of that texture. If you don't want that texture, just kind of blend it in with your finger and it'll kind of just smooth all of that out. So blending helps it to be smooth. And if you just lay it in and just color just with the chalk pastel, then it's going to have a little bit more texture to it. And I'm just kind of blending that out with my finger. And remember, I'm just doing little like pat motions and all this stuff you can remember from the skill drill that we kind of practiced and did. So you can just incorporate all those different techniques that you had been practicing and working on. Okay, now I'm going in with a dark blue here and kind of just adding that to the outside edges of my bug there and just kind of blending that color in as well. And whenever I'm blending, I'm going up and down because that bug shell is really smooth and it has you can notice the texture is really up and down from the top to the bottom. So I'm moving within that same motion to give that same look. And I'm just going to go through and brighten up that center stripe there with my lighter chalk pastel there, that light blue. And that's just going to add a little bit more detail of the separation where the bug wings are. So pick up the different colors as you need. Whenever we have different colors like lights and darks, that's how we can kind of create shape and dimension. We can create something that kind of looks 3D, like it's coming off the page. So we do all of that. Even though my paper is flat, I'm able to create a bug that looks like it's round and like it's coming off the page and like it could really just crawl right off the page. So we do that by, using the light and the dark colors, and that really gives a rounded look to our bug that we're drawing. And still just going back through and defining some of those areas and adding some more detail with a darker blue color. And then I'm just getting some black and putting that right in the center there. My bug has quite a bit of dark black there. So I'm just gonna layer that up as I need it. If you need something to be darker, just do a couple different layers and that will help it to darken. And then I'm just smoothing my finger over as I need it to kind of just blend some things together. Now another thing that you can use is a paper towel or maybe a tissue to help blend some of the pastel together if you don't want to use your finger. You can also use a Q-tip. That will help if you have like a little space, a little area that you're working within. I'm just adding more yellow right now. So again, just layer up all of your chalk pastels, have fun with it. If something's not looking quite like you want it to, just keep working on it. Chalk pastel is really forgiving, so you can really make a lot of changes with it. And you can move your color around, add more color over top of it, which is really fun, and just have a good time. So some of those spots got a little dark with the black in there. So that's okay though. So I'm just putting a little bit more of the orange because my picture has a little bit more orange right there. And then right on the head as well, I'm putting some more. And then just a little bit within that middle section as well, the middle part of his body. And by this point, your hands might be pretty messy. That's okay if you need to wash your hands during your art project. Feel free to just get up and go wash your hands, pause the video, and then come back. Because sometimes if your hands get too messy while you're trying to blend it in, you can blend in another color from before that you didn't want to be in there. So feel free to get up and wash your hands and be able to have some fresh, clean blenders ready. So I'm still just grabbing some different colors. You can add as many colors to your bug as you would like. I'm just picking up and going back and forth between all those blues and reds and orange and yellows, greens, all the different colors that I'm using, and really just layering them in. So I'm really excited to see the bugs that you guys end up creating. You guys need to take pictures of them and tag us in them on social media. Have your moms or your dads or grandma, grandpa, whoever you're doing this with, share them on social media with us so that way we can see. I'd love to see all of your guys' creepy crawly bugs and the things that you are creating. We just love to see that, and we hope that you're having a good time with creating this bug as well. One thing I was thinking about while I was drawing this was if I saw a bug this big in real life, or a bug that looked like this in real life. Have you guys ever seen a bug, a beetle specifically, this is a beetle, that looked like this and so colorful? I remember one time I saw one and it was just so shiny. The shell of it was so shiny and colorful within. It was literally that colorful within the sunlight. So it was really cool to see. But I couldn't even imagine though if I saw the beetle, because these beetles are actually pretty small, not too big in real life, but if I saw a beetle that big in real life, I think I would probably scream pretty loud. I don't know about you, but I definitely would. So I'm coloring the eyes right now. I'm just using that darker blue color. And then I did some of that darker blue on my antennas as well. One thing I love is just how smooth chalk pastel is. If you notice while you're drawing, it's really soft and really smooth, which I think is really cool. All the different types of art, whether you're painting or maybe doing clay or just different art that has you working with your hands and touching it. It just all has different feelings to it, and chalk pastels are just so smooth. Just defining those edges a little bit more and making it stand out a little bit more, so giving it more of that 3D look, like it's coming off the page and is rounded instead of flat. Now I'm just working on those antennae that are coming down. And again, I'm starting with that lightest color, which in the antennas, the lightest color is the yellow. So I'm working with the yellow right there. And the antennas kind of just have little circles that make up the whole thing. So little circles all in a row for mine. If your bug has antennas, I bet they're probably pretty similar to that as well. A lot of bugs have similar antennas with kind of the look of them. So they're probably just little circles or ovals all in a line, just like that. And then I'm just tapping that off again. Do that as you need to. And then I'm going through on the outer edge and I'm just using some of the blue that I used earlier on the body of the bug. And I'm just putting that, literally just drawing that right on the bottom of that bug. As with me putting that on the bottom of that shape, it's giving it, and that, now I'm putting it on the top too, but on the outside edges, again, that just helps to give it more of that three-dimensional, that look like it's round, it's coming off the page. So whenever we have a darker color on the outside edges of something and a lighter color on the middle, it gives it a round look. Even though this is a flat page, it gives it the look like it's round, it's coming off the page. And then I'm just adding some of that orange in there as well. And then that darker black, just to give a little bit more definition too. And again, that's just going to help give even more of a 3D look to those. And bugs are not flat. Maybe some bugs, maybe if you step on them, then they're flat, but live bugs are not flat. They are round. And so we're trying to make our bug look lifelike. I'm just blending those in a little bit. My fingers are getting pretty messy as well. You can always, one thing I like to do whenever I'm working with chalk pastels is I pick a different color for each finger as I'm blending in. So I might have one finger that's I use for yellow, one finger I use for blue, the next one I use for dark blue, the next one I use for orange, and then whenever I start running out of fingers for colors, that's whenever I go wash my hands. So you might use that technique as well, and it might help you a little bit. And then I'm just going right underneath on that bottom part. Doing that again. Again, we just add lots of layers with chalk pastels. And then I'm grabbing my yellow color and gonna start on the feet. So again, just looking at the sections of the feet and the shapes that make up the foot. So it's really just a bunch of little rectangles, kind of rounded rectangles, that make up the foot. So there's one little kind of rounded rectangle circle, I guess, and then another one, and then another one, and that kind of makes up the foot, all of them connected together. But sometimes it can get a little overwhelming whenever we look at, I don't know if you thought this, but whenever we started this project and you just see this whole bug and it looks really complicated, but whenever we look at it in shapes and small areas, it's not so overwhelming, and we can really just break down the bug to see the actual shapes of it and how we can copy and draw it. And then I'm just doing the same thing that I've been doing the whole time, just continuing with the layering. I hope you're continuing with your layering of your colors and just working with those lighter colors and then building up with the darker colors as well. And just make sure that you're looking at your reference photo and seeing where those colors are, how it looks, the shape of the legs or the wings. Maybe you have wings, maybe you're doing a dragonfly or a butterfly or a centipede maybe, or a colorful beetle like mine. Just adding little details throughout. Just went through and found my finger that is the right color. They're pretty messy though at the moment. Just blending all of those in. And then after I blend in, I just like to go back through and add a little bit more of certain colors that maybe got blended out too much. So this one needed a little bit more yellow in it, and just adding that in. This is why I really like to go back and forth between blending and drawing. You kind of want to balance between the two. I like to do the layering with blending in some of the things, but then going back over top of it and just drawing little details to really define it. If we blend too much and we just leave it like that, the whole picture can kind of just, really blend together. You don't really see all the details, or where maybe like the legs start and stop, or how the different sections of the body start and stop, and it kind of just blends together. The head might blend with the wings, the legs might blend with the body, and everything like that. So whenever we blend and then go back over top with our pastel again, just to add little areas of detail, little lines, it can really help to just define the picture. So I'm not going to go back in and blend those areas too much. I'm really just barely touching my finger to the top of those areas. So I'm not, heavily blending. So with really, really light pressure, you don't have to push really hard whenever you're blending in the chalk pastels. And again, I'm just going back in with that lighter color right on top of those darker ones. And I'm not going to be blending that in. So I'm just going to, just go back over just to add a little bit of that detail. And then just leave it alone. One thing with art, which is really hard sometimes, is we have to have self-control. And we have to know when our page is done, whenever our picture is done, and whenever we need to leave something alone. Because sometimes if we work on it for too long, it can actually just kind of just not look the way that we want it to and be kind of overworked. I'm just putting that lighter color again, just right on top of the things that I've already added and blended. So you've probably noticed by now that pastels take a lot of layering, a lot of blending, and a lot of getting dirty with your fingers. I wonder, I haven't counted, but I wonder if you've counted just about how many times that I have done layering, or maybe how many times you have layered and done more layers within your picture that you're creating. So I'm moving on to my legs now. It's a good thing I did not pick a centipede for this project, otherwise I would be drawing way too many legs. And I'm doing the same thing that I've been doing this whole time with starting with that lighter color first. And then moving on to that blue color. And I didn't know if you knew this, but one interesting thing about bugs is their skeleton is actually on the outside of their body. So you and me, we have bones, which is our skeleton, on the inside of our body. But bugs, they're the opposite. They have it on the outside of their body, and it's like a suit of armor. So if you notice, bugs are kind of hard on the outside. Like my beetle, their outside wings are actually kind of like a shell that's really hard, that protects their wings actually on the inside. That's where what they actually use to fly. But they are like a suit of armor that they have on their legs and on their outside body, and then their inside is soft. So they're like the opposite of us, which is kind of interesting. Another interesting fact about beetles as well is they are really good cleaner-uppers. So they're awesome within breaking down debris, or whenever plants have died, or maybe other bugs have died. They help to clean them up, and whether it's a dead plant or something, they'll eat it away or clean it up, so that way our world, our earth, stays nice and clean and can function the way it was designed to. So they're kind of they're really awesome for that. They're kind of our garbage truck, I guess you could say, our garbage men. Bugs are kind of like the garbage men of the earth. They're going around cleaning up things, making sure that it's all nice for us and we don't have dead plants all around or other bugs all around because they're cleaning things up. Again, I'm just going around with those lighter colors and really just repeating the same thing that I did. Another cool thing about beetles that I just learned about is that there are roughly 400,000 different kinds of species that are known, which is really crazy. That's a lot of different types of bugs. I can't even imagine seeing all those, being around all those. That's just too many bugs for my liking. So 400,000 different types of beetles. Can definitely tell you that I like this beetle and this bug that I'm drawing, the type that is being drawn and that is on my paper, much more than the live beetles that are outside and crawling around. They can just stay outside. I'm adding more of that darker color just right on the insides of that leg right there. Just continuing on in the same way that I have been going. And then still just blending those sections out. I'm really excited to see if any of you guys did any butterflies or anything like that. I think that would be really cool to do a butterfly within this style with chalk pastels. And also feel free to, after you finish the bug that you're working on now, you could always do another bug as well. Or maybe you even did a couple bugs on your paper too. That'd be pretty cool. But if you did create a butterfly, I would love to see that. Butterflies have so many colors within their wings, and I think it would be a really fun project to create a butterfly. So maybe after this one with the bug that you're working on, you could do a butterfly or maybe a moth or a caterpillar. That'd be pretty cool too. Or even a ladybug would be a good bug to draw as well, with a bright red shell. That would be fun. This bug kind of reminded me of a sunset over the ocean, with all the different colors, with the blue and then the green as well, and then seeing like the orange and the yellow kind of reminded me of like the sky over the blue ocean, which I thought was really cool, and I really liked all those colors. And I'm just going back through again now with that darkest, I believe it's a black, and just adding some more definition and really making those shapes which make up the legs just really defined, so that way you can see all those different sections. Again, like our bug, its skeleton is on the outside, so because of that it kind of has all these different armor pieces. So it has these different sections, so it's able to move, because the outside of it is really hard, so it has to have little sections so that way it can move correctly. And so that's why it has kind of all these different little sections, or looks like little rounded circles maybe within the legs. And then again, I was looking at my picture, and my picture is a little bit more black within the middle area, so I'm just adding some more black within the center shell, and I'm not going to be blending that in too much, because again, I like that texture. There's kind of like a little bumpiness, so whenever I say texture, kind of the bumpiness of the paper and the feeling of it, and so whenever I blend it in, it smooths all of that over and you can't see that. But I really kind of like that, because bugs, they actually, well, my bug at least, this beetle, it kind of has some of those bumps on it. If you look really closely with the picture, or maybe if you've seen one in real life, it kind of has some of those bumps on the shell. So I want to keep those so that way it looks even more realistic. And one of the final things that I'm going to be doing in my picture is taking a white chalk pastel and just adding some little tiny details. So this is really just kind of where the light hits actually on the shell and the legs of the beetle. And so by adding just the tiniest little bit, you don't have to have much, but you can really just give a lot of definition. So I went over and I cleaned my hands off, because now I'm going to kind of go over and clean up the remainder of my picture. So that adding the white was the last step. And so now I'm taking a just a napkin, and I'm just cleaning all the outside, because if you remember, the chalk pastels are kind of messy. So the powder kind of maybe got a little bit on the outside, and we don't want that there. So I'm just taking my napkin and brushing off as much as I can, and then I'm taking the eraser of my pencil and running that along the edges of the bug. So I want those edges to be really, really crisp, so that way you can see them really nicely, and my page is really neat. So I'm just going back and just erasing some of those areas where it might have blended out too much. and really defining the bug and the arms and everything and just cleaning it up. Because I want that page to be really black and then my bug to really stand out against it. So go back through as you need it and just erase everything, maybe where you got some extra powder or anything like that. And after you are done cleaning up and wiping away and erasing and everything on your paper and it is completely finished and you don't want any of that chalk pastel to move, one thing that you're going to use is you're going to use either hairspray. I'm sure your mom or your grandma or whoever you're with probably has some hairspray, or maybe your big sister or someone. So you're going to use some hairspray. If you don't want to use hairspray, you can use some spray fixative that you can get at your local craft store, or you can find that in the link in the shopping supply list. And you're just going to spray that over top of your page. You're going to want to make sure that you do the outside, and you're going to go from left to right, holding it about 6 inches away from your paper. So you're going to want an adult or someone older, maybe an older sibling, to help you with that. You don't want it to be windy if you're going to be outside, or maybe if you're in the garage, and just spray that over top of it. And just so that way that chalk pastel doesn't go anywhere. So there's the final piece. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for creating with me today.